Asia could be heading toward its most brutal war, and the spark is coming from China. Beijing's aggressive military expansion, repeated incursions near Japan's disputed islands, and its threats over Taiwan have pushed the region into a dangerous new phase.
I want to emphasize that China strongly rejects the recent remarks made by Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi about Taiwan. We have already lodged firm protests with Japan and will continue to do so.
Faced with China's growing hostility and aggressive maneuvers, Japan has begun reshaping its defense posture, investing in new capabilities, strengthening alliances, and debating constitutional changes to ensure it can counter Beijing's pressure more decisively. Japan's military option against China rests on several pillars. The first is modernization of the self-defense forces. Japan has invested heavily in advanced missile systems, including long-range standoff missiles, to counter China's growing arsenal. It has acquired F-35 fighter jets, Aegis-equipped destroyers, and is planning next-generation submarines, all designed to maintain technological superiority. Beyond conventional weapons, Japan is strengthening its cyber and space defense units, recognizing that any future conflict with China would extend into new domains. A particular focus has been on countering gray zone activities, Chinese Coast Guard incursions, and maritime maneuvers around the Senkaku Islands that blur the line between peace and conflict. The second pillar is Japan's alliance with the United States. The US-Japan Security Treaty remains the cornerstone of Tokyo's defense, and joint exercises have expanded to include scenarios involving Taiwan. Prime Minister Takaichi's remarks about Taiwan highlighted Japan's willingness to consider collective self-defense measures, a significant departure from its traditionally restrained posture. The US presence in Okinawa and other bases provides extended deterrence, but Tokyo increasingly recognizes that it must shoulder more responsibility for regional security rather than relying entirely on Washington. The third pillar is constitutional reform. Article 9 of the Japanese Constitution renounces war and prohibits maintaining offensive military forces. Successive governments have reinterpreted this clause to allow the existence of the SDF and limited collective defense. Current discussions go further, with officials hinting at possible amendments to clarify Japan's right to possess advanced capabilities, including nuclear-powered submarines. While Japan has not abandoned its three non-nuclear principles, ambiguity in recent statements have raised concerns in Beijing. For China, any Japanese move toward nuclear capability would represent a major escalation, while for Japan, it is seen as a necessary hedge against an increasingly hostile environment. The fourth pillar is regional partnerships. Beyond the US, Japan is working with Australia, India, and Southeast Asian nations to counterbalance China's influence. The concept of a free and open Indo Pacific has become central to Japanese diplomacy, linking military preparedness with broader strategic goals. Joint naval drills, intelligence sharing, and defense technology cooperation are part of this effort. Japan views China's growing ties with Russia and North Korea as a direct threat and thus seeks to build countervailing coalitions. China has responded sharply to Japan's evolving posture. Beijing has warned Japan of crushing defeat if it intervenes militarily in Taiwan, framing Japan's moves as irresponsible and dangerous. Chinese officials have criticized Japan's defense spending increases, arguing that they destabilize the region. At the same time, China has intensified its own military activities near Japanese waters, sending Coast Guard and naval vessels into contested areas. This tit-for-tat dynamic illustrates how Japan's preparedness is both a deterrent and a potential trigger for escalation. Japan's military preparedness against China is not merely about hardware, it is also about political will. The appointment of defense attachés in sensitive regions, the expansion of defense budgets, and the public debate over constitutional change all signal a society grappling with the possibility of direct confrontation. While Japan remains cautious, the trajectory is clear. Japan is positioning itself to act decisively if China crosses certain thresholds, particularly regarding Taiwan or the Senkaku Islands. By modernizing its forces, deepening alliances, debating constitutional reform, and building regional partnerships, Japan is preparing for scenarios that were once considered unthinkable. The challenge lies in balancing deterrence with restraint, ensuring that preparedness itself does not become a catalyst for conflict. Yet in the eyes of Japanese policymakers, the risk of inaction is greater than the risk of readiness, given China's expanding military footprint and assertive behavior in East Asia.